Good morning, I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the Thursday, November 29, 2018 edition of The Bible Delight in the Details, as we are running up to Christmas in our Advent special programs. Now, we are talking about the first Advent candle, that of hope, or the prophet's candle, and we started yesterday talking about the various prophecies about the coming of the Messiah and how that gave hope to the Jewish people and indeed others as well, even in the ancient world, as they foresaw the Messiah, a Savior that would be born. Now, one of the most famous of the prophecies comes in Micah. And in Micah, we see the beautiful prophecy of where the Messiah was going to be born. And in the Jewish Talmud, we see that it had been understood as a messianic prophecy. Now, this was written 500 or more years, really more like 700 years before Jesus' birth. And this is what it says in Micah 5, 1-2. But thou, Bethlehem, Ephrath, though thou be little among the clans of Judah, yet out of you for me will come a leader over Israel, whose origins are of old in ancient days. Bethlehem was a perfect place for the Messiah to be born. And over the next few days, we're going to talk about why Bethlehem was a perfect choice. We're going to start today with the very first reference we have to Bethlehem. It was as its other name, Ephrath, and it came in Genesis. You may remember the story of Jacob and how Jacob loved Rachel. But he was duped by his father-in-law Laban, and he had to marry Leah without knowing it. He thought he was marrying the younger sister, wound up marrying the older sister. And then his father-in-law forced him to work an additional 7 years. He thought he'd already worked 7 years to get Rachel, and then he had to work again, another 7 for her. So he wound up having 2 wives when he really only wanted the one. Now, it was from those 2 women that we got the 12 tribes of Israel, as you know. Rachel had a difficult time conceiving, but then she finally did, and she bore Joseph and Benjamin. And you remember that Joseph was the favorite child because he reminded Jacob of his beloved wife. Now, Rachel actually died during childbirth of the youngest child, Benjamin. And we are told in the closing chapters of Genesis that she was actually buried in Bethlehem. So to this day, you can go and actually see what is claimed to be her burial place. Now, this is interesting because there are going to be many more reasons why Bethlehem was the perfect place, but think about it. The concluding person, Benjamin, the concluding person who formed Israel, the tribes of Israel, was born apparently outside of Bethlehem, and the mother that gave birth to him had to die in order for that to occur, and she was buried there. This had become a place of memorial, and Bethlehem in the Jewish mind had long been associated with, number one, great love, because of the great love that Jacob had for this wife, but also death happening at the same time that life was also being given, because Rachel died in giving birth to Benjamin, who completed the foundation, the origin of Israel. What an appropriate place when you think about what Christ's purpose in coming to the earth was. What was he doing? He was bringing to fruition the fulfillment of what the Israel nation coming out of that family was meant to do. And that was to be a people for God and great ambassadors to the world on behalf of God. Also, what was Christ going to do? He was going to die in order to give us new life. And so it's absolutely fascinating that the Messiah, who would be called to die in order to bring new life to the world, would be born in a place that from its very beginning, the very first time we're introduced to it, had been associated with death and then life coming out of that death in great love and a completion of something having to do with the foundation of Israel. I tell you, the details of the Bible really are something to take delight in. I'm J. Lenora Bressler. Visit me tomorrow for more on why Bethlehem was the perfect place for the birth of the Messiah. Have a great day.